War Eagle War Report family, I'm your host C-Dub, and we have a great show planned for you guys tonight. It's Iron Bowl week, so the guys are joining me. That will be B. Will and Ike Jones joining me to actually break down the rest of the games taking place in the SEC, as well as discuss the Iron Bowl matchup with Alabama. We also will bring on a special guest to help us do just that. So guys, sit back, get your weight up, because tonight we enter the war room.
You are now listening to the War Report. Wednesday night War Room. Brought to you by AuburnSports.com. Ike Jones. B. Will. C. Mike G. Let's go!
War Eagle, everyone. War Eagle, happy Wednesday. It's Thanksgiving Eve. Thanks for hanging out with us on the Wednesday Night War Room, brought to you by our good friends at AuburnSports.com. Guys, head on over there to get your latest and greatest intel in terms of recruiting and all things Auburn sports. Those guys have you covered on the latest info. Also, guys, if you're joining in, we need you to do us a quick favor. If you're watching live or on the replay, share this video on social media. That'll be Facebook and Twitter. Use hashtag #GetYourWeightUp. Help people find us, as well as help us to grow our community. Now, Ike is out, so
I'm back. Don't worry about it. I'm here.
All right.
Yeah, let's talk about it, baby.
Had me a little worried for a minute. I was like, what we doing here?
No, we going to tell people how you need to become a member of the greatest YouTube family that ever existed. That is the War Report family. Listen, whether you are a supporter or an insider, doesn't matter. We want y'all to be a part of this family. So listen, go get some of this behind the paywall content. Do not worry, SS Austin. I just saw you chat and say you're going to miss this in-season stuff that we've got going on. We ain't going nowhere when the season's over. We will be right here continuing to bring you Auburn info. So Insider is where you want to be to get a lot of that stuff, but y'all can go ahead and do that. Also, listen, man, you know, we are partnered with the Lee County Humane Society, saving as many of those puppies as possible. Make sure you are continuing to go and support us over there. We have a special thing going on right now with our sponsor, BUSR, promo code THANKS21. So free $10 for every sign up, no deposit required. BUSR.com/rapport to support us over there. And special giveaway today. Hashtag beat Bama in the comments, and you can get one of these wonderful watches. It's a Timex Auburn watch, courtesy of Primetime Shop. They got us another watch to give away. So if you want one of these lovely AU watches, make sure you hashtag beat Bama. I know a lot of y'all used to hashtag and get your weight up. Beat Bama in the comments, because listen, it's the Iron Bowl, so we got to step it up and make sure we're doing the thing the right way. Yeah. Let's get to it.
So, guys, listen, let's go ahead and get into the show. Before we talk about the SEC, it's rivalry week. I can't say that right. Rivalry week.
Very intentional. I have to say it slow.
Yeah, I got to say it slow as well.
Yeah.
Before we talk about football, Auburn had a basketball game today.
Yeah.
Okay, it was the Bad Boy Moors battle for Atlantis tournament. Auburn played a very entertaining game against UConn. Yeah. Fell short, 115-109. But KD Johnson was a bit of a revelation. He was a bit of a revelation in this game.
Yeah, he a baller.
Yeah. Even in a loss, man. How do you feel about this team? And by the way, UConn's a good team. Like, they can shoot the three ball. Like, they're going to be, if they keep doing that, they're going to be a tough out in the tournament, assuming they get there, of course. Yeah. How did you feel about this game, Ike? What are kind of your thoughts? You're kind of our b-ball guy.
Yeah, so, I mean, I didn't get a chance to watch the entire game. I think the issue that Auburn has had so far this season, outside of the very first game, has been starting slow. Like, just not getting out of the gate and being as aggressive. They just need to kind of get a shot in the arm and say, all right, yeah, we're actually playing a game today. Before they get in there and they start turning it up defensively, the intensity. So KD Johnson is a guy who's not starting, right? He comes off the bench. He brings a lot of energy. And so, like, a lot of our bench players are really our energy guys. And so when they get in the game, they start to change the momentum and the complexity and the intensity. We need those starters to come out with that same intensity if we want to be dominant in these games, as opposed to having to claw our way back into some of these. But listen, the fact that they came back, I think at one point it was like a 14-point deficit. And took it to overtime, losing in the overtime, getting it back to that second overtime says a lot about the competitive nature of this team. But if they can start better, then they can absolutely blow some teams out.
B, did you have you had a chance to watch B? Any thoughts on what you saw? If you saw,
I was watching as much as I could. Got to watch more of the second half. So the problem as I see it, of course, we're missing Flanagan. That's huge. That's really big. He was a do-all guy, defensively and offensively too, as his game is rounded out the longer he's been here. So what I expect to be the case is you always have all these new pieces currently with the way basketball is going. If you're getting a one-and-done guy like Jabari, if you're getting guys you have to develop like Flanagan, if you're getting 2 or 3 year guys like Cambridge, you know what happens? All those guys have to play together. You're getting transfers too. I think as the season goes on, Bruce is going to figure out how to get those guys active offensively early. He doesn't have to really teach effort and defense. He emphasizes that. That's his default. Bruce's default is effort and defense. Offense, not so much. We actually looked a little rough. It was the year that we won after we went to the Final Four. The next year when we won the SEC again, we won the tourney and got in, but it got canceled due to COVID. We looked rough like the first half of the season. We were like halfway through SEC play, and we didn't really know who we were. And then everything started coming together because they know how to get these guys into a system. They start realizing what guys are going to be best at. And not too dissimilar to what we're dealing with in football, it takes time. So I have the utmost confidence because I've seen Bruce do this at least 2 times before. The only time he hasn't done it since he got the ball rolling was when we were hamstrung. We couldn't play Sharif. Justin Powell went down. We were short on guys. That's the only time he hasn't done it. The time 2 years in a row he did it, I expect him to continue that defense, and having a spark plug like KD is awesome because you don't have to force him to do it. You have somebody who can get everybody going. I just think it's going to take time. So the effort is what I am most happy about in that game. Would it have been great to win it? Yeah, but this is basketball. You don't have to win them all. One game is not the end of the season. We've got time, and I know that they're going to get it together. So I'm just glad to see that effort. That means a lot.
Something I've noticed too with Bruce Pearl's teams is that they get better as the season goes on as well. So it's encouraging to see them hang with a ranked team and play that well early on. And if they're able to build off of that, they will be a really good team moving forward. So it was encouraging despite the fact that they lost the game. So definitely wanted to talk about that since that did occur today before we get into this week's predictions and how we feeling. So let's get into it, man. Let's go ahead and talk about it. We don't have a scorecard, but we'll update on y'all on that next
Just know I'm in the lead now. I took the lead over this past week. You know what I'm saying?
Word?
So,
Okay.
Dethrone B Will. Listen, you got proof that it didn't happen?
Okay,
You got
right.
proof?
That's me. For everybody that don't know, it is B Will's job to tally the picks, and he completely forgot to tally the picks. I have forgot to tally the picks. I haven't.
So
So
you got no proof
absent
I'm
of
right.
concrete proof, Ike is claiming champion. He's claiming to be the crowned king, but
He also was wearing
y'all
a
know
cap.
what the real
He's
deal is.
also
Y'all
wearing a
been
blue
here
cap
with
too.
y'all been here every week. Y'all know what that tally was looking like. Y'all know.
Yeah.
Let's get to it though.
Let's talk about it, man. Let's get into these scores.
Tennessee.
Andy. B.
Tennessee.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, this is gonna be a tougher one. Talk about what you. I'll let you get your
What do you think
intro
about
out
that?
on this
What do you think about that line, B?
That's fair.
That's
Kentucky, who they've been home and away a little bit, and who they've been Jekyll Hyde all season, man. So
They've been really bad on the road, huh?
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, their offense does not travel in the least bit. That's the only reason that this is even interesting. I'm still going to pick Kentucky to win this game, but I would not
have
be
no
surprised if
conviction
this was a close one.
I have no conviction to pick
Y'all gonna make me pick this? Hold up, man. I didn't. You know what? I forgot it was right. I did not look at Louisville's schedule, how it's shaking out. I know their quarterback did some things. He's actually a Montgomery kid, and he did some things over the course of the year. He was looking good. But I also know he got slightly injured, and I don't know if that's what held him back or if they just started playing terrible. So let me take a look. You know what I'm saying? What they talking about?
Who
right,
did you pick? See,
I'm gonna go. Oh no, I haven't picked.
This is rough.
what's Louisville's record right now?
They are 6-5.
And who have they lost to?
They have lost to Ole Miss week 1.
Uh-huh.
At Wake Forest, high scoring team.
Okay.
Virginia by 1 point.
Uh-huh.
NC State by 15 points. Clemson by 6 points.
Well, they lost to Clemson. Yeah, I'm going to stick with my Kentucky pick.
Clemson's
gotten better. I mean, their defense has been good all
Clemson's
season.
gotten
Yeah,
better. Clemson's gotten better. I'm going to go with Kentucky. I'm going to go with Kentucky here.
It's a
This
tough
is
game.
tight
It's a
enough.
tough one to pick. Yeah.
This is tight.
It's a pick.
I'm gonna go with Louisville at home. Kentucky has
not a
been
bad pick.
mediocre. I think the jig is up for Levi and what they're able to do with that offense. He's just not accurate downfield. And what happened was he stopped even trying to throw it downfield because he's so inaccurate downfield. They've been much easier to defend, and they still like to turn the ball over. So on the road, I'm gonna say Louisville at home.
All right.
Not a bad pick. Not a bad pick. Let's go to this one. Mizzou at Arkansas. Arkansas for me. What you guys think?
I just can't until Missouri proves they can stop somebody and tackle. I can't pick them.
Let's stop
in the game.
Florida. That don't count?
Come on, man.
Somebody.
Right. Gotcha.
Arkansas.
They had quit. Florida had quit. Arkansas.
Okay. Number 1, Georgia on the road.
There's no Georgia Tech does not have a prayer in this game.
Yeah, Georgia.
Number 23, Clemson on the road. South Carolina.
This is a little more interesting because it's a rivalry
I'm
game.
going to Clemson.
I think Clemson wins this game, but South Carolina's going to make this interesting. But I just think Clemson's defense is too good. And South Carolina, this is going to sound crazy considering we just lost to them. Their offense isn't all that great. They only scored 21 on us, and we
I think their
basically
defense is
gifted
better.
them 7 of them.
I think their defense is slightly better than ours.
Their defense is more consistent than ours. Ours is inconsistent. We play good in spots. Clemson plays good for the majority of games.
Which is why I think they're better.
Yeah, so I will go with Clemson in this one.
I think
It's going to be
I
interesting,
think,
though.
I think
South Carolina's going to come out there
Carolina
playing with their
covers.
hair on fire.
I think they cover.
Yeah, I think South Carolina covers too.
I think South
I'm
Carolina
going
covers.
to pick. I'm with y'all. I'm going to pick Clemson. Their defense is too good. And they actually got a shot to win their conference, so they're going to be motivated enough. I don't think Dabo wants that heat. They've been trash talking down on South Carolina for years now. He can't lose to South Carolina. Then all that nagging that the fan base does for him will start to gain some momentum. So I think he wins this to keep the monkey off his back.
Okay. Let's move to number 15, Texas A&M at LSU. Another very interesting matchup. Football Power Index gives Texas A&M a 61% chance of winning this.
That's not a lot.
Game is not a lot. Not a lot
I mean,
of
the spread
confidence.
is less than a touchdown. That's a pretty, tight spread. LSU's defense has been playing better. People asking where Mike G is, or I just saw someone ask where Mike G is. He is visiting the family for the holiday, so he is off today. We gave him a day off.
Yeah.
Ooh, I don't know. This is tough. What y'all thinking?
All right, Cal's their offense isn't that good. All right.
They're one-dimensional for the most part.
Yeah, LSU's defense has definitely been able to hold several teams down, for the last few weeks.
The question is, can they move the ball against A&M? This
Yes.
is. You think they can?
Is Max Johnson still healthy?
I haven't watched him play in the last couple weeks.
Me
I know.
either.
It's a
This
tough
would
one.
be a great. I would love for Jimbo to lose a 4th game, honestly.
This is a dangerous game. Even though LSU is 5-6, this is a dangerous game.
They playing for bowl eligibility. They
This is
playing
a
with house
dangerous
money,
game
man.
for A&M.
A&M can't. They can't jump Ole Miss for second place.
No,
No. Okay. Yeah.
they lost to them. They lost to them head to head.
I'm gonna jump out on a limb. LSU. Why not? Why not?
I'm going
All
Texas
right.
A&M. Yeah, I'm going to take the better defense. Even though it's on the road, I'm going to take the better defense and go Texas A&M.
That's fair.
I'm going LSU. Shoot.
I
I hate it when
you trying to
I want-
catch me. You can't catch me. That's right.
I wanted to go A&M so bad, but I was like, I don't. Okay. All right. Florida State
Ooh.
at Florida.
Okay. So
Ike's facial expression says it all.
you know what's crazy though? If Dan Mullen had not tried to sacrifice his assistants, one of them would have been the interim, and they would have had a chance to win this game. But instead, they fired the guys that that Mullen that his players loved, and then they quit, and then he's fired anyway. Oh my goodness, Florida State.
That's
man.
pretty funny.
That's
Like,
hilarious. He was like, "I will get rid of these guys if it keeps me in my job."
He lost it the very next week.
And then he got fired anyway. That's hilarious. Oh man.
And they still hate you. Okay. All right.
And now his people that work with him, they ain't even friends no more.
Right. That's what I'm saying. They hate you.
Oh my God. Man.
Anyway. Okay, but how bad is Florida State though?
I'm going to be honest with you. I have not watched a single down of Florida State football this entire season. Not
Okay,
a single
so-
down.
I can tell you this. I have peeked in on some games to see are they
how did
really
FSU
going to
look
lose this.
How did FSU look against Miami?
Didn't they beat Miami or did they lose to Miami? You could tell we don't watch somebody but SEC because, man,
I know, right?
we don't know nothing about nobody.
They beat Miami.
That's what I thought. Yeah. So here's what, and they would be bowl eligible as well. Oh, the plot thickens.
Yeah, I'm going to just say
State.
Florida State, man, just because I
Did one
think
of their
Florida
games-
is a
did one of their
complete
games
dumpster
get,
fire right now.
Did one of their games get? I'm looking. Okay, no. That was recent. Where they beat Florida State. That was 2 weeks ago,
Beat Miami.
or Miami.
Yeah.
Florida
Yep.
State beat Miami. That was 2 weeks ago. They beat them by a field goal. I gotta go. I'm gonna have to go Florida State because I don't know who's over there getting that team prepared. I just don't know what.
Listen, the only person on that team that could actually call plays and make me believe that offense could put up some points with those two terrible quarterbacks ain't even there no more, and that's Dan Mullen. I don't know how Florida's even going to put up points. But I'm pick Florida State as well.
Let me ask you this: if Florida wins, should FSU fire their coach?
Yes.
They've already gone in on him for a second year. I
was about
think
to say,
they've shown more promise.
well, that'll be like their third coaching or fire in like the last 5 years though, so I doubt it.
They can't do it. They can't.
I doubt
afford
they
to.
fire him, but I mean, what does that do to the seat? I guess that's what I'm getting at. If he loses to the wide receivers coach,
I mean, but he's won 2 of the last 3. They beat Miami. They won at Boston College. Now, none of them are good teams.
I
but
mean, he probably gave himself a little leash by beating Miami though, for real.
yeah, that was an important game. Okay, all right. Just curious here. All right, the game that's tomorrow. They actually play on Thanksgiving. The Egg Bowl, number 9, Ole Miss on
This
the
is the
road
one right
against
here. This is
Mississippi
the one.
State. B. Will, what are you doing? What are you?
Mississippi State.
Hate you, man. I was
Yeah,
gonna
I'm
go
act-
Mississippi State. I don't like you, B.
I'm picking Mississippi State as well. I would
Mississippi
go the other way.
too.
State.
I would go the other way just to try to gain some ground, but I just
That's
I
how
don't
you're
think-
going to. That's how you're going to widen the margin if you go the other way. I'm going Mississippi State for sure.
Yeah.
The momentum is all on their side.
Yeah,
I'm
I
a
just
believer.
I still don't believe in Ole Miss's defense for
It's not that
real.
good. It's not that good.
And Mississippi State, as one dimensional as they are, can carve up any team if they want to.
Yeah.
Really, I guess it comes down to if we can score 30 on you, you're not good on defense. So that's how it goes.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay. Mississippi State will be ranked after this week.
Yeah, for sure. They win this game, they get ranked.
Why is Ole Miss number 9? They've only lost twice. Is that why?
They've only lost twice.
Bama and us. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I guess.
And that loss to us is looking worse and worse every week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. All right. Well, guys, let us know your thoughts. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. If you are watching this live on a replay, we want to hear from you guys. Do you see any upsets this week? Let us know. Also, this is a reminder that you are watching the Wednesday Night War Room. We pause to acknowledge the sponsors of the War Report.
The War Report's Wednesday Night War Room is brought to you by our generous sponsors. AuburnSports.com. For news and notes on all things Auburn sports, head over to AuburnSports.com. Our betting partner, BUSR. Bet with confidence at BUSR.com/report. University Ace Hardware, located at 2101 East University Drive in Auburn, Alabama, right across the street from the Auburn Mall and next to the movie theater. For all of your hardware needs, Ace is the place. And our giveaway sponsor, GWT2 Energy. If you want the best in the business at restaurant logistics, check out our friends at GWT2Energy.com.
Y'all already know what you need to be doing. Hop on in there and become an insider. Listen, the basketball content is going to start cranking up here over the next couple of weeks. We will have all of your off-season coverage for Auburn football as well. It will sprinkle in some other stuff, but make sure you are an insider because our postseason breakdowns of what's going to be happening or what has happened in this first season are going to be epic. I have been working on this stuff, so I'm ready to unveil some of that stuff for you. If you saw the watch the film from that we dropped last night as an insider, that's just kind of a very, very small sneak preview into kind of the in-depth stuff that we're going to be doing. So insiders, that's going to be specifically for you all, and we're going to be doing some basketball stuff as well. Also making sure, again, busr.com/report, promo code thanks21. Get in there, free $10 on every sign up, no deposit required. So go in there and place a bet. Don't bet on the Iron Bowl because B will tell you you're not supposed to bet with your heart.
Don't bet with your heart.
Yeah, just don't do that to yourself. And if you didn't check it at the top of the show, we are giving away this Primetime Shop Auburn wristwatch. Beat Bama in the comments to be able to enter that. We will do the drawing at the 1 hour mark. And if you didn't know, we are on the podcast thing right now, right? So you guys make sure that you check us out on podcasts as well, not just for you listening on YouTube, but for everywhere you go. War Report podcast. Let's get it.
Also, this serves as a reminder to each and every one of you, never forget that Virginia double dribbled. Okay,
That's a fact.
Just your weekly reminder. Govern yourselves accordingly. Let's get into it, guys. Iron Bowl matchup is here. Number 3, Alabama travels to Jordan-Hare this weekend to face off against the Auburn Tigers at 2:30 p.m. Central Time on a CBS. The line favors Bama, as you can see. The Football Power Index gives Alabama an 81% chance of pulling out this game. And Bama also leads the series, as you see below, 47-37 with one tie. And, of course, we know last year in Bryant-Denny, Bama won 42-13. We're now joined by a good friend of the show, Mick Gillespie of Bama Insider. Mick, how are you doing, sir?
Look, guys, I agree. That was a double dribble in that Final Four.
Thank you.
I've always
Thank you.
said
God
that.
bless you.
God bless you. Thank you, sir.
I'm doing great.
Awesome, man. So just, what is the sentiment? I work with some Bama fans, and a lot of Bama fans are kind of down this year. It's almost like they feeling like the inevitable is going to happen. That they're not even really thinking so much about this, even though I think a lot of people suffer from PTSD of the 2000s when Bama was on probation. So it's always that it could happen, with losing to Auburn. But a lot of Bama fans are dreading going to Atlanta to face off against Georgia. Can you speak to that? Do you feel any of that amongst a lot of Bama faithful?
Look, I mean, if they lose to Auburn on Saturday, I think that this is definitely a bad season for Alabama. When you talk about expectations, when you win a national championship, but so far, I mean, they're 10-1. So it's been record-wise, it's been a good season. They just haven't really dominated some of their opponents. Yeah, I'm sure there's some Alabama fans that are worried about Georgia. I'm not really. I mean, I think that Georgia could beat Alabama, but over the years, Alabama plays up to the level of the competition. So they may lose the football game, but I think that Georgia probably should be a little more worried about Alabama than the other way around, just because they're the best team in the country by far. And I think if they beat Alabama and knock them out, I don't think they'll really have much of a resistance to win their national championship that they haven't won. For Alabama, I think this game is the one that I would worry about, because it's one that you have to win. You're a 19-point favorite. Yeah. But, crazy things happen at Jordan-Hare. We know that.
That's a fact.
Do you feel like this definitely your playoff hopes rest on having to close out the regular season by winning at Auburn, even though you have the opportunity to beat Georgia? You have to win this game. Do you see it that way?
Yeah, I guess. I don't even know anymore. I mean, I look at we do a show on Bama Insider every Tuesday when they put the playoff rankings in there, and we're talking about it. And, I'm like, 2 losses, could you get in with 2 losses? I think if Alabama beat Georgia, they could get in, but they're going to need some help. Houston's got to beat Cincinnati. Maybe you cancel out. You're going to lose one of the Big Ten teams when Michigan and Ohio State play. Right. Maybe they both lose. I mean, there'd have to be a lot of things go their way. It was like the year that LSU had 2 losses and won the national championship with Les Miles, right? I mean, everybody just kept losing, and all of a sudden they were like back in the mix again.
Yeah.
I think Georgia's so good and perceivably so good that if Alabama beat them and say they lost the Iron Bowl in a close game, which normally they are in Auburn, maybe they could still get in. But as a 19-point favorite, if you lose that game and all of a sudden like your perception, even if you win the SEC, I don't know.
Yeah, gotcha. Well, listen, let's talk some matchups. Hopefully, B. Will, are we looking good here?
We are looking good enough.
Let's do Bama offense versus our defense, if possible, good sir. Okay, so I want to talk about the Bama offense. It's definitely been explosive in its own right, and there's a good reason for that. Bama currently ranks 8th in the nation in passing offense, averaging 344 yards through the air per game. And there's a big reason for that. When you look at who's at quarterback, Bryce Young, who's already thrown for over 3,500 yards on the season, he has a 71% completion percentage. He's thrown for 38 touchdowns and only 3 picks so far this year. He's been efficient. He's been really good. And he's got some weapons to throw the ball to. In Jamison Williams, who's the leading receiver for Bama, over 1,200 yards receiving already, 13 touchdowns. And, of course, there's John Mechie, who's already has been good as advertised for last year going into this year. 895 yards, 7 touchdowns. Talk about this receiving core, and are these pretty much the 2 main guys that we should be concerned about?
Yeah, look, Bryce Young is legit. I mean, he's the explosive player that Alabama had in a lot of spots last year, and they don't this year, right? Jamison Williams transferred from Ohio State. He might not have gotten on the field when you look at the receivers that the Buckeyes have, but he's Alabama's best guy. At least he's had the best season. Nick Saban said, hey, look, we got him to take the top off of the defense. Basically he's the Jalen Waddle of this year's team. Drops the ball some, which when Alabama had the 4 first-round picks, it never saw a drop pass, So, sometimes he doesn't catch it, but he does enough to make a lot of good plays. He's got speed, and he's had an excellent year. John Mechie's been really consistent for Alabama, was dealing with some injuries earlier in the year, and he started to come on. When there's those spots where Bryce needs a big play, like 3rd down and 7, look for Mechie. That's probably who he's going to throw it to. Outside of that, it's been, Slade Bolden is kind of their 3rd receiver. We're waiting on some of these young guys. Alabama had the number 1 recruiting class last year, and we're all looking around waiting on some help there. In the tight end spot, we expected Billingsley to be a big factor this year. And at the beginning of the season, Nick Saban was riding him. And you know what that means, that he wasn't given the effort somewhere, whether it was in class or in practice or whatever. But he just hasn't had the type of year that all of us expected him to have, which was, we thought he would be kind of maybe like a Kyle Pitts type of guy, could catch. He's big and he's fast and, almost like a receiver at tight end. But, so for Alabama, the wide receivers definitely a step down from last year, but that's, expected when, you lose 2 guys in the first round and a Heisman Trophy winner.
Right. All right. Listen, Jameson Williams scares me. Okay. He scares me because we've seen him take the top off of a defense, but we've also seen him catch a slant pass in stride and basically leave the defense even still. Yeah. Like even in short yardage situations, getting him in space because he has the jets, he terrifies me. So my question for you, Ike, is we know what Mason likes to do. He wants to keep everything in front of him, but it's not like he's played zone 100% of the time. We've seen him go to man, and sometimes it's worked to our detriment. We saw what happened in Georgia. We saw what happened to Pritchett against Georgia. So
that corner opposite of McCrary, man, whether it's Pritchett or Simpson, man, they have been getting absolutely destroyed over there.
Yeah, so what if you're Mason? What do you do? Do you just allow them the nickel and dime, or what? What do you do? Because again, we are who we are after 11 games. Like we're not going to just automatically figure out how to play coverage, the opposite of McCreary. So how does Bama wants to attack that side of the field because other teams have been attacking that side of the field. What does Mason do in that regard?
They're going to have to figure out a way to bring pressure and play coverage a little bit better. Like not necessarily man up, but they're going to have to maybe do a little bit of mixed stuff maybe. Because so early in the season, he was trying to do this stuff where he would play, man on one side and zone on the other to confuse the offense. And it ended up just confusing our defense, right? Like we just weren't, so a lot of what you were seeing early in bust were just people were not running the right things in the right scenarios. But I think he's going to have to figure out a way to get pressure on Bryce Young because that Bama offensive line can surrender some pressure if you're doing it the right way and make it where he can't sit back because he doesn't get flustered, right? Like blitzing him is not necessarily a win, right? Because he'll figure out a way to get by and, buy some time and find a guy open downfield, but you just can't give him time because he'll sit back there all day and pick you apart. So you got to find a way to bring some pressure and just mix the back end coverage up to at least confuse him a little bit.
So let's talk about pressure. And I'll get to you. This is a question for you, Mick. The O-line for Bama so far through this season has given up 26 sacks on the season. That puts them in the SEC ranking around 12th. What have been your thoughts about the O-line? What has been some of the issues there that you've seen?
Yeah, look, this hasn't been a good offensive line. They're not terrible, but last year the offensive line made everyone a bunch of money. You don't have a receiver win the Heisman and Mac Jones get drafted in the first round. And they look, last year's offensive line might be the best Alabama's ever had. This year, I feel like a lot of favors are being given back. It's like, hey, Chris Owens, he's earned the spot, right? Well, he's not in there anymore, at least starting. But he was getting toasted a lot at that offensive line spot. Ikior, has had some bad games. Now you see George is in there. Owens is out. Delcourt back at center. Evan Neal, who is the Bama tackle, left
Swap
tackle.
that back for me, B.
He's that guy's a first round pick. I mean, he is the offensive line. I mean, he's the guy you're looking at going, okay, you build around him. And then Alabama has 4- and 5-star guys that are sitting on the bench right now. And a lot of fans are going, okay, when are we going to see Latham, who, was a 5-star guy? When are we going to see Brockemeyer? When are we going to see these guys? Because the offensive line, has been so inconsistent. Although I got to give them credit. They did a really good job against Arkansas. And then the other part of this too is that Bryce Young makes those guys. Mac just sit back in the pocket and pick everyone apart because he never got touched after the Georgia game last year. I mean, now he plays for the Patriots. It's the same thing, They know how to protect you, right? And he's going to win Rookie of the Year. Bryce has had to do so much of this on his own. He's got to move around in the pocket. I think Bryce Young is having he might be having the best season of any Alabama quarterback I can ever remember. Just the way that he makes this team if he isn't the starting quarterback, I think Bama's probably lost 3 games by now.
Yes.
And he's smart. He's a leader. He never really gets too high or too low, which in sports, when you got a guy playing quarterback or a pitcher in baseball, it just helps your team. Your quarterback's up and down all the time. It just throws everybody off. This guy is just even keel. So he's made these guys better with his ability to just move around in the pocket. And what's crazy is it always looks like he's going to run, and then he gets to the line and throws the ball. And then you're like, hey, run. And then you're like, okay, that was a good play. Here's Williams running down the sideline. So the offensive line hasn't been that great. But this is the time of year, too, where I feel like if Alabama's going to upset Georgia, if they're going to get into the college football playoff, it's time to unleash some of the young players, and we're starting to see that. And with the offensive line, having George in there, that was kind of new just a couple of games ago. But overall, if I was grading these guys, I'd give them a C this year. I'd give Bryce Young an A+.
Yeah, he's been again, he scares me. I mean, that the passing offense scares me, given it's their strength on our weakness. So I don't feel good about that. But when we talk about what the O-line has done so far, one of the things that Auburn has been able to do, we've been a little inconsistent in this, but bringing pressure, right, with our front four without having to blitz much. It's worked out some weeks, and then other weeks not so much. It's got to work out this week. Ike or B. Will, who are you looking to help bring some pressure to disrupt the timing of the Alabama offense and exploit some vulnerabilities up front with their O-line?
Listen, I need the guy who has the super senior tag all over him, who was one of the guys who I was saying, listen, he's a liability up there. I don't know what's going on with him. He needs to have the game of his career, and that is T.D. Moultrie. I need T.D. Moultrie to just be a constant pain in the side of Bryce Young for the entirety of this game. Listen, this is going to be his last home game that he's going to play as an Auburn Tiger. He's going to put it all out there on the line. I need him to have a game of his career. If we can figure out between him, Derek Hall, and Echo Leota how to get pressure without having to blitz,
right,
that's when Auburn's defense is going to be monstrous. But those guys off the edge or up the middle are going to have to bring it consistently. We're going to have to be disciplined in the run game, but when it's past situations, they need to win. And I need to see T.D. Moultrie have a multiple sack game here.
B. Will, who you liking, man?
I actually think we're going to have to send pressure from somewhere else besides the line. I mean, Aku is a pass rush specialist. I think it's going to have to be Zacoby. If Owen is healthy enough to play, it's going to have to be Owen. We've tried at different points. Mason has been very, very skittish about sending more than 4, and a lot of times he doesn't even send that. And I think we've seen repeatedly what that gets us. We can't get it with 3. 3 down linemen is no. 4, maybe kind of sort of. We started to get some pressure in some games when we sent 4, but either the game was out of hand or we got ridiculous flags for sending them and making contact. So I think they are going to have to be smart about it. I saw somebody in the chat, I want to have lost it, saying we're going to have to go exotic. We are. We're going to have to do something we have not done. We're going to have to stunt. We're going to have to send and retreat, fake a blitz and send them back out. We're going to have to do something.
We've seen Auburn do that this year at times. Was it effective when we've done that?
We haven't done anything consistent.
The most effective blitzes that we've had have always been either a safety or a corner, though. Like when we bring the linebackers, they don't seem to get home consistently. But when we're bringing that safety or that corner, and actually our most effective blitzer, like if you, and I'm not looking at any statistics, I'm just kind of remembering plays off the top of my head. The person who usually gets home most often when he blitzes is Roger McCreary, because it's so unexpected. You don't expect your best pass defender to come on a blitz because they're like, oh, they can't risk him on the back end. So the quarterback's never expecting him to come. He gets home the most often, though, just because that's the guy that you're not expecting. But I think, whoever the safety in the box is, whether that's going to be Kaufman or Smoke Monday or who else has been? I don't know if Zion Pluckett's going to be back in this game.
They make good blitzers just because of their nose to the football. They like to fly to the ball anyway, so that makes for a good blitzer in that case. But yeah, I agree. They're going to have to do something different than just sitting back and let Alabama just tag them.
They can't play coverage this game for the vast majority of this game. It's going to have to at least be 4 rushers, maybe a 5th.
Yeah,
agreed.
So Mick, talk to me about the run game. Brian Robinson has 945 yards on the season. He's about 55 yards out from reaching the 1,000-yard mark, but 14 touchdowns. Is he pretty much Bama's red zone weapon? Would you say? Because not a lot of. He's had a good season, but we know what Bama likes to do. So when Bama finds himself in the red zone, is it time for them to unleash Robinson? Or how have they been using him?
I was just looking back, and because I've made this statement a lot, and I have a lot of respect for Brian Robinson. He's done everything the right way. Got the COVID season, he's back. But Alabama's running back room is the weakest it's been since Nick Saban's been there. I'm going all the way back to 2007. Terry Grant and Glenn Coffey. I'd take both of those guys before Brian Robinson. He doesn't have the home run hitting ability. He's a straight ahead runner. He doesn't fumble. He doesn't turn it over, but he's not a home run hitter. And that's what Alabama's had. And you go back and you start looking, and I just did while you guys were talking because I just wanted to double check, right? And it's like you get past, obviously Coffey played in the NFL, right? He was a 49er. And then all of a sudden it's, Mark Ingram and Trent Richardson and Eddie Lacy and Trent Richardson and TJ Yeldon. And you start going through Derrick Henry. And this year, because of injuries, it's Brian Robinson. They don't even really give the ball to anybody else. Trey Sanders is the backup now because of injuries to Chase McClellan, who I think was the guy. Even though he really wasn't the guy, he was the home run guy. They've just flipped him the ball at the beginning of the year. They don't lose to Texas A&M if McClellan doesn't have the knee injury and isn't there, right? And honestly, the offense really hasn't quite been the same. Even though they've had some really great games like last week against Arkansas, they haven't been the same without that explosiveness there. They got Brian Robinson, Alabama had 6 rushing yards against LSU. I don't even know when that's ever happened, even going back to the 20-some years I've been following this team, So, but Brian Robinson's a possession running back, I guess. He's a straight ahead guy with not much speed. Compared to what you're used to, I was on Jay Barker's show on Monday and I said mediocre and they all got on to me. Well, but when you compare him to the other guys, he is mediocre. When you're talking about, there's 5 guys in the NFL right now that were running backs at Alabama and all of them are better than him, So And they were when they were there. So Bama's run game can be stopped. Brian Robinson doesn't fumble. He's straight ahead guy, and he's had a decent season. I mean, the stats look good, and with the offensive line trouble, I mean, I should probably give him more credit, but I'm just not superly impressed.
Do you think his numbers look good because he's benefited from a very strong passing attack?
Yes.
And people are looking for the pass, so he's able to eat up yards. But your point is, if they had to run first, you would be worried about Brian Robinson.
Look, if Alabama had a legitimate number one running back that they're used to having, I mean, if you swing Najee on this
last
team,
year,
right. If you swing Najee on this team, and all of a sudden, you know what? If you're Georgia, you're in big trouble.
Yeah.
Even with the offensive line issues and how good Georgia's defense is. That's the area of this team that I feel like is going to stop Alabama from really contending for a national championship, because they're not able to turn that 10-yard game into a touchdown. And that's something that we've seen go back and look at the running back room.
Yeah.
And I just, but I have a lot of respect for the way that Brian plays. Look, he reminds me of Blake Sims. You remember when Blake Sims was Alabama's quarterback?
Yeah.
I knew at the time, I'm covering the team. People didn't want to hear it. They lost to Ohio State, and I'm like, eventually he doesn't throw the ball well enough to win. Somebody's going to take the run away, make him throw the football in the pocket, and they're going to beat him. And actually played a pretty good game against Ohio State, but that's what happened. I think that Alabama with this, I just think that's a big weakness for him.
Gotcha. Listen, let's flip the field. Let's talk about our offense versus Bama's defense. Bring it up, B. So Bama's defense ranks 5th in the nation in rushing defense. They're only allowing 85 yards per game. I'm worried. All right, so top tacklers.
We don't want to run it anyway, so why does it matter?
I mean,
we get into that. All right. So Henry, is it? Help me if I'm saying it right.
To'o.
Okay.
Total.
Lead tackler, 84 tackles on the season. He has 4 sacks, but right behind him is Will Anderson, who people have just been raving about. And he's pretty scary. Obviously, when you start looking at his stats, I see why people are raving. 78 tackles, but 13 sacks on the season so far. Kind of talk about, I've been impressed with how they've been able to hold certain teams under 100 who are used to just racking up a lot of yards on the ground. Talk about this Bama front seven and how effective they've been this season.
Well, look, when you look at the Georgia game, that's where Georgia better watch out. The first off, that Alabama is one of those teams that's always going to kind of play up to the level of the competition, but they can stop the run. And I'm going to start with Will Anderson Jr. You're going to hate him by the end of the game. He's as good of a defender, a pass rusher. I mean, he leads the nation. I think he still does in tackles for loss. He's smart. He's fast. He's kind of the team leader. He's only a sophomore. He's just in the backfield all the time. He causes havoc. Look, they lose to LSU. He had 4 sacks against Mississippi State. You guys saw how good Mississippi State is when they get their offense going, right?
Right.
They couldn't stop him. No one's really stopped him. And Chris Allen was supposed to be the guy, the guy on the other end, where you have Will Anderson and Chris Allen, but he got hurt in the Miami game, Allen, and broke his foot, and he's been out all year. Right. So it's been trying to find that next guy to help out Anderson, but he's a beast. Alabama people describe him as Derek Thomas. When you start getting those type of comparisons at Alabama and you think about how good these defenses have been, you're doing a lot of things right. So that's been the big positive for Alabama. They have been able to stop the run, and they've been really good at that. But besides that, they've been very, very inconsistent. Look, they stop the run, but no one runs the ball anymore. Everyone throws the ball. And so they will make you one-dimensional, and then everyone's just been throwing over top of them. That's good. The teams that can that can throw the football and give their quarterback enough time for Will Anderson not to ruin their day have had success against Alabama, Texas A&M, Arkansas. We saw it in the Florida game in the second half. And that's been the formula to beat Alabama.
Ike B, it looks like Ham's got a lot on his plate this upcoming weekend.
Yeah, that's the matchup that is going to be nightmarish for us. I actually am more
healthy?
confident. I don't think he is, but I'm actually more confident in the young, in the less experienced guy on the other side, Killian, the left tackle, going up against Will Anderson than I am with Ham. Ham has been spotty at best in his pass protection. They're going to have to leave the tight end in there to chip a little bit and make sure that they can give a little more time to TJ. But that's going to be a problem. The thing that for me is going to be a saving grace, I think, is that Bama has been susceptible to some deep throws. Their secondary gets out of position every now and then. But the question is, can TJ hit those? He didn't show the ability to hit it last week against South Carolina. Can he connect on something down the field to take advantage of a secondary that is pretty stout when they want to come down and be run stuffers, but can get out of position in the pass game?
Yeah, Bama actually ranks 7th in the SEC in passing yards allowed, 220. But we know what Auburn is built to do here. Auburn we like to be a downhill running attack, even though it seems as though we are striving to be more balanced, which means we're throwing the ball. But there's a stat here. Auburn is at 1-4 this season when the starting QB throws over 30 times in a game, which means Auburn is built to really run the football and then pick its spots in terms of throwing the ball.
Yeah.
But against a team that's pretty good against the run, that lends us to playing to not necessarily to our strengths and throwing the ball, and that has not fared well for us. So what do you foresee happening in this game, Mike, in terms of like what does Auburn try to do?
They're going to have to be stubborn with the running attack or the short passing attack to like, I just think that you have to, like, you just have to say, we're going to do it. Look, they lost to Texas A&M, Bama, and they basically ran the ball on them better than most other teams could, and made them have to defend down in the box and then beat them up with tight ends, right? We've got tight ends that can get down the field and make some catches for us. And they were doing it with a quarterback in Zach Calzada at the time, who was making his first or second start.
Second start, but his third game.
Yeah, because he came in late and finished one game. He started the next game, and then that was his second full start. But Calzada just made those down the field throws when he had to. Early in the game, right? Early in the game, he made them pay for being out of position. TJ's got to do the same thing. If Auburn's going to have a chance, you have to make Bama play you honest. If they figure out, they can't throw the ball, they're going to load up and just make it nightmarish on everything that's underneath.
Do you think the focus is getting him some quick intermediate passes?
Yeah. I think that's going to be a focus that they're going to need to have to figure out how to do early in the game. Like, he throws those intermediates really well, so they're just going to have to. He's going to have to take some chances over the middle of the field, though. He wasn't willing to throw the ball over the middle of the field very much against South Carolina, even though it was there a couple of times. And so if you're going to go back to the Gus Malzahn, everything inside the hashes is unacceptable offense to throw the ball, then that's too easy to defend. You make them defend the whole length of the field in the pass game.
B. Will, who are you looking at to really step up in the passing game this upcoming weekend? Our hope is that Kobe Hudson will be back, but who do you looking to really help TJ out in this game as he looks to definitely try to take advantage of the Bama secondary?
Well, I wish I had the ability to say like Mick did, that our young guys were starting to get burned late in the season, but they are not. Our youngest guys, Tavares Dawson, we still never saw him. Lee Hunter, we still never saw him. Elijah Canyon, might as well have never seen him. We haven't seen guys who we either think or know can contribute very well. I wish we had been working those guys in to get them ready for this game and this moment. But of the guys who we know should be on the field, we never got a solid confirmation that Kobe was absolutely a go. But I think TJ alluded to, like, yeah, we're excited to have Kobe back out there. So I expected to see him. I think they may just be a little sheepish for the sake of gamesmanship, but I don't see a world where Kobe has cleared concussion protocol and won't be a main part of this game. He's going to be out there. I expect people like Shed, who this will be his last game. People like Shanker, who this will be his last game. I expect these seniors to have a really, really big game, to be fired up. I mean, that home field, it's a big deal. Senior night is actually a little bit of an aberration. And this is me talking as the better, going back and betting games where the clearly better team is on the road against an inferior team, and the inferior team, that's their last game of the season. That's, some guys' last game of their careers. They put it all out there, man. Now, we're not senior laden to the point where I think it's going to have that big of a difference. But, yeah, people can play outside of themselves for one game and not necessarily outside of themselves. I don't think we've played poorly. Everybody hasn't played poorly. It's just that we've played poorly in spurts in different phases. We still have never put together a 4-quarter game in all phases. We have not done that. So yeah, I expect we'll get as close to that as possible. And this could just be BS because I said this last week. I said coming off of Mississippi State that we would play our best game at South Carolina. And, yeah, you know how that went. So I have no concrete evidence that one guy or another is going to step up, but I absolutely do believe for this game and this rivalry. And to Mick's point, this is the most vulnerable Bama team I think I've seen since 2007, which is really weird to for them to be this vulnerable, this deep into Nick's tenure, because what hasn't been working? You've got the winning, you've got the recruits. I don't know. I was gonna ask Mick while he was breaking it down, like why haven't we seen the guys? Because y'all have been stacking the deck for 4 years straight, well, 10 years straight recruits. Why let Job struggle out there? Because every time I look and turn on a quarter of a Bama game, this guy Job is getting toasted. I'm thinking, all right, I know Nick sees this. What's going on out there? And I have no idea why he's letting some guys struggle when they've got tons of talent on the bench. But don't stop this weekend, Nick. Please keep it going. We need that. I would love for these guys to get a win. These seniors that are going to be here. I think Shed's kind of had, you know what? I'm going to say Shed because he surprised me twice this season. He made the game-winning catch against Georgia State. He had an outstanding game against Mississippi State. And I would love to see him redeem himself. Not that it makes up for the drops, because it doesn't, but it would still be nice to see.
Mick, I guess Will Anderson is going to be your guy that you're looking to wreak havoc on Bama's on the Bama's defense as it pertains to just what's going to happen this Saturday. Is he your guy that you expect to be the most productive in the Bama backfield? We didn't talk about To'o too much, but who's your guy?
Yeah, I'll tell you about To'o. He transferred from Tennessee. He's really good against the run. He struggled against the pass. He's a smart player. He kind of sets the defense. I'm not sure if the reason why he hasn't had a spectacular season is that maybe he's filling in for guys that are out of position. I don't know enough. Look, man, I've watched football. I cover it. I used to work with Mike Johnson, who was a two-time All-American at Alabama and in the NFL. I watch games with him, and it's like, okay, I don't know this game that well. I'm like, all right, this is what's going on. He's like, no, that's not what's going on. Here's what's happening. It's not the offensive lineman. The running back missed the block, So I think I know it, but I don't always know it. With To'o, I really like watching him play. I mean, to me, he seems like he's a really good player, but and then he grades out Pro Football Focus, and it's okay. I think he probably thought, well, I'll come to Alabama a year and go to the NFL. I don't know that that'll happen. I mean, Will Anderson, is the guy. If you were putting money down, that's the guy you would bet on. I mean, he's like the Michael Jordan of the defense. He's just that good. Like he's going to be better. He's the best defensive player in the country, I think. And Georgia's got a couple really good ones. And that's no disrespect to anyone else, but I think you guys will see on Saturday. You'll be like 31, man. Just get him off the field. Like he just is monster, right? I think the guy though, if you were saying, okay, besides Will, who to keep an eye on? Job. I don't know that we're going to see a lot of Job. I think Kool-Aid McKinstry's going to play. He's one of those young guys I've been waiting to see all year. I have no idea why we haven't seen those guys. Nick Saban makes those decisions, not me. They are 10-1. You know, they're number 3 in the country as far as the college football playoff ranking. We know that they're not good enough to win the championship right now the way that they're configured. I think we're going to see Kool-Aid. I could see Kool-Aid making some plays. He just reminds me of Drake Kirkpatrick, another, guy who was from Alabama, 5-star guy, who can make catches and all that kind of stuff. So for me, I would say keep an eye out on, for Kool-Aid. Malachi Moore is another really good player that Alabama has in the secondary. The thing that when I look at this matchup, with TJ Finley, if Bo Nix was quarterback, I really feel like I'd be probably feeling a lot different about this matchup. I just don't know that Finley is going to be able to get away from the rush enough to make those plays like Bo does. Like Bo against us, he'll run around in a circle, like he'll bounce the ball off of somebody's helmet, and then another dude will catch it and it's a touchdown. Like I just don't know that Finley's going to be able to pull off that, and I think he's going to have to be mobile. So the pass rush is going to be big.
But Mick, you do know that Finley is 6'7", right?
He's a big guy. I saw him at LSU. Like he's an athlete. But I don't know. I think you got to be mobile against Alabama. Like here's the things that beat Alabama. Mobile quarterback that can run, right? And that runs a lot, and a really fast offense. Like Arkansas. They're trying to get those plays off. Like Tennessee, even though Tennessee has a team full of walk-ons and stuff, but they still did a lot of things against Alabama. It was a close game until the fourth quarter, right?
Yeah.
Those teams that like Texas A&M was able to do some of that, where you just get you beat Alabama with the pace, you challenge their secondary. Those are the things that hurt the Crimson Tide.
Yeah. Well, listen, we're at the hour mark. Let's get into this drawing before we conclude this live show. What we got? How many entries?
All right, let's see what we got going on here. 51. Y'all don't like watches or something, man? What's going? Oh, you know what? It's because I switched the hashtag up, and a lot of people have been putting "Get Your Weight Up," and it's not "Get Your Weight Up" this week. It's Beat Bama. So I will give you a little more time to get in here and get your hashtag Beat Bama. If you don't know what it is that we are giving away this week, Primetime Shop has this lovely watch that they are going to send to whoever is the winner of this drawing tonight. Hashtag Beat Bama in the comments. I will give you 20 seconds to get in here and put that in the comments to get in on this drawing. Let's get it up on this Wednesday night. 61, that's an additional 10 people. We're only 161 strong tonight, so y'all got a good chance of getting this watch, man. 5 more seconds before I hit the button. 3, 2, here we go. 67 people. Who is it going to be tonight that wins this lovely watch, courtesy of Primetime Shop, primetimeshop.com to shop your watches? Randy Henshaw. That is a new person. I have not seen Randy Henshaw in the comments. Yeah. You know the deal, though. You have to actually be present to win, so you need to put your name down here in the comments if you want to be able to get that. We'll move on, and Randy, make sure you throw a little something to let us know you're still here.
Please comment, because people are going to already say that you're not here.
Yeah, you know how that's going to go.
If you've been watching us for any length of time. Now, guys, let's get to it.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, there he is, Randy, already in here. So, Randy, make sure that you go ahead and hit us up at business@thewarreport.com to get your merch. We'll have them send that out to you here post haste. You get a lovely Auburn watch courtesy of Primetime Shop.
So, enter your shirt size and address, and we will get that. Not your shirt size. It's actually a watch this time, so I'm so used to saying that. So, yeah.
You know what, though? Because I'm feeling really generous and we didn't do something for GW2 T2 Energy, we'll do another giveaway here for
right.
somebody of some War Report merch. How about that? So y'all don't go away. We're gonna do another drawing here in just a minute after these picks. How about that? Yeah. All right.
Feeling real generous.
Yeah, man. You know.
All right, let's see if you're generous with this prediction for Auburn. All right, so guys, let's talk about it.
Mick, are you gonna give us a score prediction here? You gonna stay away from it? You
No,
know,
I'll do
know.
it. I don't care. Look,
All right, cool. I mean, some people have other shows
Yeah.
and they're like, "Oh, I don't want to do my prediction before my show and all that."
I don't care.
All right.
No, I'm on the crew. I'll give one.
So before we do that, we usually do a thing where we go around. Each of us talks about what our team will win if. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So Bama wins this game if.
All right, look, if Bama runs the ball on Auburn, they're going to win. Plain and simple, because they're going to throw. Bryce Young is not. You're not going to stop him from throwing the ball. So if you see them getting a lot of yards running, then I think that's going to open up the pass lanes, and it could be a really bad Saturday for the Tigers.
Okay. For me, Auburn wins if they play a great second half of football. Auburn has proven that they can play a good 2 halves. That's the good news. Bad news is
2 quarters.
Football or two quarters. The bad news is football is a 4-quarter game.
Yeah.
So we want to see Auburn come out at halftime and put together another good 2 quarters of good football. They do that, I like Auburn's chances. B. Will, Auburn wins if
they throw for 300. Finley is back there. He's an unknown. He doesn't have rapport with the wide receivers. I don't know if the coaches put enough in his hands against South Carolina. They certainly put more in his hands than they should have on one play. So do they trust him? Do they like the game plan with him coming in? And if he can get to 300, that's enough room for us to be also getting some yards on the ground, which should be our preferred method of gaining yards. I think we have to do enough in the passing game just to get them honest. That's it. And if we can get them honest, loosen them up back there, we should make room for the running game that is a very balanced offense overall, and it should be pretty hard to stop. So I say we got to throw 300 to win this game.
Ike,
Yeah,
Auburn wins if.
You know, I think Auburn wins if the offensive game plan complements the offensive players that we put in the game. I think we've got to continue to go with what's working and not go out here and try to, be Lane Kiffin and taking all these crazy chances. Trust your defense a little bit more. Make a game plan that makes sense for the players that are in the game. I just think we go away too often from what's working, trying to be cute. Don't get cute this game. Take your chances when you have to, but don't be cute. Just go play football and let your guys go out there and put it on the line and see if we can come out here with a victory.
Well, let's get to it. Let's talk about it. It's prediction time. Mick, what say you, sir? We'll let you go first.
Well, look, I would take the 19 in Auburn. I don't think Auburn's going to win the game, but I've been thinking about this all week. Give me 19 and a home dog. I've been to Auburn for a lot of football games, seeing Bama there. I've seen some good ones for me. I've seen some bad ones, which were probably good ones for you guys, right? Including that 12-sack game of Brody Croyle. That was terrible. We couldn't get out of there fast enough. But I think Alabama's going to find a way to win this game. I feel like if Bo Nix was there, it would probably be a little bit closer. I like Alabama by maybe 13. But I just think that Auburn's going to play a good first half, and that Alabama will get the lead and probably just try to get out of there as fast as possible. There's no home run hitters in the run game, so it's not like you're going to see Derrick Henry breaking through and taking it to the house a bunch of times. 19 just seems like such a high. That's just such a big spread to me. And I have a lot of respect for Auburn. Look, I mean, I've been, my first ever game was the 96 Iron Bowl. So, I mean, I've been to a ton of these games, and you can throw the score out. It's going to be a battle on Saturday.
I will go ahead and go. I think at home, I think this is a game that the coaching staff and the players have been looking forward to since the season began. Harsin understands how important this game is. Of course, the players understand how important this game is. And I think with the seniors, the leadership, and again, those are the guys who we've seen a lot of on this team on both sides of the ball. You think of McClain. I mean, you think of, I mean, he hasn't been here long, but Big Tony Farrer, McCreary, you think of these guys who've been at Auburn, they want to beat Alabama. And a lot of these guys have never lost to Bama at home. So that's something that you also have to keep in mind. I think they get up for this game. And I think in true Auburn fashion, what we've seen is that this team has a good first few drives. They come out, they look sharp, they look crisp, they play well. I'm curious to see, again, with Finley in there, how that works out as they're still trying to learn him and figure out how to be productive with him and implement him into the game plan. But I think Auburn looks good for the first half. That hasn't been the issue. The issue is once the opposing teams adjust to what we're doing, what does Auburn do then? And there's been an ugly trend dating back since the second half of Ole Miss. We just have not been putting points up in the second half. And I think that's the thing that worries me against a team, in my opinion, that's better than most of the teams we've lost to over the past several weeks. So for that, I think Auburn keeps this game close and competitive. I think Auburn does show up, but I think due to their issues in the second half, I think Bama pulls away. I got Bama 38, Auburn 24. B. Will?
This would have been a must-win game if we had kept things in front of us, starting with a Texas A&M game. We didn't do that. So now this is after losing to Mississippi State and South Carolina, this is a save-the-season game. We're going bowling. But whether it's going to be the Birmingham Bowl or, the Outback Bowl, maybe. If we beat Bama, it's a bigger notch, so we might get weight a little heavier than a 7-5 team should. But they're playing for more now than they were. I can't say more than they were a month ago. They were playing for the West. But now they need it more than if it was a 8-win team. Like, they really, really need this one. The coach needs it. The players need it, honestly. TJ Finley needs it like nobody's business. I don't even know if he's going to be on this roster next year if he doesn't show really, really well in this game. Because if you don't show it here after starting for a year, you're not going to be the starter here. And in all of no matter what he wants to be, I don't think he makes it back to starting position in the SEC if he can't win this one, or at least show really well. So I'm going to say, similar to Mick, I don't think we lose by more than 19 points. We just don't, because Bama's not that good this year. I don't know. Everybody's like, 100 to 10 in the comments. Teams that we have beaten handily have given Bama hell. And I don't know, man. Our defense gave up 4 field goals to Texas A&M, and Texas A&M scored, 38 points on Bama in regulation. It's really hard for me to say that we can't win this game. I think we can win this game, and it's not because Bama's bad, but we're not as bad as our record is, and Bama's not as good as their record is. Let's say that. That's what I think. So I'm going to say 31-28. Auburn.
All right. I like that, B. Step out there.
Why not? But we will cover. I absolutely believe we'll cover.
Got to cover if you got us winning. All right. Stephen Riley asked, just because no one has, and appreciate the super chat, Bama going to run the same 2 plays South Carolina did.
But their running back is better than Bama's running back to Mick's point, so there you go.
I'm like, is that a possibility, Mick? I mean, I mean, Mick is not high on the running backs, but yeah, South Carolina got some talented running backs for sure. For sure. So yeah, I just think Bama. There are other things Bama can do against our offense that South Carolina could not do. They have so many ways to attack us. Go ahead.
before we get into it, I watched Mechie in spots last year, Mick, and I thought, oh man, they're gonna get rid of these 2-3 guys, and they're gonna be right back loaded. He's been a little disappointing to me. What for a guy to come in and be the best wide receiver was a transfer. To me, that's really weird because again, been recruiting like crazy, been getting skill positions, everything stacked up. What did you see where Mechie wasn't just like a guaranteed home run hitter? Why was it Jameson and not Mechie?
I think Nick Saban alluded to him being kind of injured at the beginning of the season, but lately he's been a lot better. And I'm always like, well, it's Williams first and then Mechie, but Mechie's the last 3 or 4 games, he's been really, really good. He's been like the go-to guy, like Williams is the home run guy, right? Mechie's the guy when it's 3rd and 4 and you need to throw it to somebody. It's probably going his way.
Yeah.
That's and I watched the South Carolina game. I thought Auburn was the better team. They didn't win. But Alabama I think Auburn could beat Alabama. I think any team in the SEC that's kind of in the middle of the pack could, but they're going to have to play a great game.
Right.
Bama's not going to be terrible. It just doesn't happen. It's more like they lost to Texas A&M. Bama made a couple mistakes with turnovers. They had to kick a few field goals, but Texas A&M made a lot of plays in that game too. The quarterback's running back, Calzade's just tossing the ball up. The guys were catching it. I think Kool-Aid's going to be better than Job. Auburn's going to have to run the ball with Tank Bigsby. That can happen. I mean, I still think he's one of the best running backs in the SEC. He's been coming on lately. Yeah, in the country, right? I mean, if you're in the SEC, but I just feel like for them to be able to challenge Alabama, they've got to get this into the fourth quarter where it's so loud in there, and all of a sudden we become conservative. We become like we look like we've never been in a game before. I mean, you've seen the ones we lose down there, besides the one that basically got Jalen Hurts benched. That set up Tua in the national championship game. But we had seen that all year too. We knew if you would have had me on your show then, I would have said Hurts has a problem throwing the football when you keep him in the pocket, right? And that's what Auburn was able to do. They kept him in the pocket. He couldn't throw. And, eventually, Tua won it with the walk-off, right? So I just think that for Auburn, they're going to have to play their best game. They're going to have guys make plays in the secondary, over Alabama's secondary. They can run the ball. Alabama's good against the run, but they're not. This isn't. There's no Terrence Cody here. Right. I mean, like you can run on them, like it's but it's going to have to be one of those games where you're like, okay, we played the best game we played all year.
Right.
Yeah. Ike, what say you?
All right. So this game is so difficult to call because I just don't know offensively what we are going to be with TJ Finley in game 2. I have to see him hit some deep shots. I have to see him do some things consistently in the pass game that give me confidence. If you watched my breakdown of him, just his mechanics were erratic in that first game, and it looked like he wasn't on the same page with the receivers. Yeah. South Carolina's defensive line is not Alabama's defensive line, so the run game is not going to be as effective as it was against South Carolina. I do, however, think that we can run the ball on Alabama, and that's the difference maker for me. If we can play ball control and that play action pass game can open up, Auburn has absolutely a chance to win this game, despite what everybody's misgivings are about our defensive secondary. We still haven't given up a lot of points. If you can't, I can say, oh, well, if you take out this game, then you have to look at what we've done. But it's still, absent of Mississippi State, we haven't given up a lot of points this year, right? If you're able to play ball control and keep the game, as Mick just says, a fourth quarter game, I like Auburn's chances in this game.
Come on,
it's tough. It's tough, ain't it?
Come on, man.
I'm going to say 28 to 25. I'm gonna be a homer, man. I'm gonna go Auburn 28-25.
Come on, let's go. Come on,
Yeah.
let's go.
I'm gonna be a homer.
Let's
I'm
go.
sorry. I think we can win this
Absolutely.
game, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're gonna get Mike G's pick on Saturday morning. That's what we're gonna
Yeah.
do. Or if he can jump in pregame.
Some of y'all
that's
better
what
be
we'll do.
happy he's not on here. I think I already know his pick.
We already know.
All right. Well, there you have it. There
Yeah,
you
25
have it.
is just a random number I threw out there. I don't even know why I said 25. Probably more like 24 is a
think
more
how-
realistic
how-
number.
how do
Yeah,
you
I don't
get
even know how you get 25
do you
points.
get
So
25?
24. Sorry, 24.
Yeah. You got to get a safety in there somewhere.
So 24, 28-24 will be my pick.
Okay. 28-24. All right. I think it's drawing time, sir.
Oh, yeah, my bad. I forgot we got to do this other drawing.
Number two.
All right, let's see what we've got here. Drawing number 2, 78 people now in this thing. Randy, you can't win again, even if your name comes up again. We'll hit it again. We're going to give away the AU shirt on this one, guys.
Who's gonna be
Robert Weeks.
That's a
Robert
new name
Weeks.
I haven't.
Yeah, I haven't seen that name either. So, all right, we got some new people in here. Less people in the chat. So, some random people in here. Robert, are you still here?
Yeah, that's the question. Is he here? Or is he gone? We got to wait for this one.
Yeah, we do have to wait for a minute for this. We're not going to wait too long, though, Robert. So, if you are way behind on this thing, then we're going to see. Because I ain't going to wait for a long time. We got to. Everybody's saying he's gone. He's basting the turkey. That's a good one.
That's funny.
We can just go ahead and throw up the graphic because if he catches this on rewatch, he can still contact us.
Yeah. So close. Wait, Jackson says. I'm going to wait for it. Because we're actually earlier than we normally are to finish up the show tonight. So we'll wait for a little second here to see if he gets in. Or not. If not, I'm just going to hit it again. He's just going to have to miss it. And if he comes back later, maybe I'll send him a He Gone shirt just for GP.
Question, Mick. Mick, are you going to cover that game, or are you going to be remote watching the game, or what are your plans for the Iron Bowl?
Yeah, I'm going to do it from the home studio. I've been at pretty much all these games, so thought about going. I've been many times to the Plains, but gonna do it right here. So I'll actually be on. Our show will be on Friday. We record our pregame show on YouTube on Bama Insider, and then it plays on Jocks on Saturday, and then afterwards we're on the Bama Insider YouTube channel postgame. So from right here.
Yeah. Real fans stick around to the end of the show. Robert, so disappointed. You're just going to have to lose out on this one because I'm going to hit it again. Let's go. Boom, boom, boom. Who is it going to be this time? Valiant
Hermes.
He's
Hermes.
won before, hasn't he? No, he hasn't.
I
He
don't
hasn't.
think so.
He hasn't.
I don't think
he
so.
hasn't.
We talk
He
with him a
hasn't.
lot on social.
We talk with him a lot on social media, but he has
Yeah.
not.
I think it's one.
Valiant, are you here?
Valiant Hermes. I haven't seen his name in the chat in a minute, so I don't know if he's still around. Again, you guys stick around to the end of the show. You never know what I just might give something else away, man. Don't just leave because you just saw the first one go. He gone too is Robert's roommate. That's funny. That's funny. Oh, there he is. Boom. Valiant Hermes in the place to be. All right. You know what to do. We're going to send you this shirt. Once again, I need your shirt size and your address. Send that to business@thewarreport.com and we will get your merch out to you. So congrats to both of our winners tonight, man. We gave away 2 things, a watch and a t-shirt. I'm going to send you one of those AU shirts on the War Report, actually courtesy of GWT2 Energy. Thank you so much for always being a great sponsor of the show, our guy Walt Taylor.
Thank you, Walt.
Appreciate your Walt.
Appreciate it,
Mick,
That's it, man.
Mick, thank you so much, man, for spending some of your time with us, talking football. How can people contact you? Tell the people what you do.
Yeah, guys, always fun. I had a great time tonight. At Broadcaster Mick on Twitter, and you can catch my Alabama coverage as part of the Bama Insider team. So on YouTube, Bama Insider, and then BamaInsider.com.
All right.
Awesome. All right, we got some last announcements before we get out of here, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely, man. You know what the deal is. If you're not an insider, you need to be one. The game day stuff. If you want to chat with us on game day, you have to be an insider to do this, and guarantee you we will have a lot of thoughts about this game. Pre-game, halftime, post-game. If you're not a member, you don't get a chance to be a part of that. Watching the film next Monday is always going to be interesting. Lee County Humane Society, go throw a couple of dollars over there, or you can purchase this little great keychain, not keychain. Well, it can be a keychain or a dog chain or whatever to support that cause. And of course, again, the promo code thanks21 busr.com/rapport. Use that promo code, free $10 on every sign up, no deposit required. That's it, man. We will see you all later.
Also, special shout out to auburnsports.com for sponsoring tonight's show. Guys, please head on over there for your latest intel on recruiting and all things regarding Auburn athletics. Again, much gratitude and thanks to auburnsports.com. Also, guys, please be sure, as Ike mentioned about BUSR, we want to shout them out too. You already know what to do. We appreciate them for sponsoring this show as well. And that's it, guys. Listen, before you get out of here, if you're watching on replay or live, please be sure to share this video using hashtag #GetYourWeight on Facebook and Twitter. Get the thumbs up, like this video. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel. You can hit us up on Twitter and Instagram, even Facebook at The War Rapport. We are TW Rapport on TikTok. That's it for now, but guys, have a great holiday tomorrow. See you guys on Saturday, but until then, and as always, War Eagle.
War Eagle.